This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 663 for July 6th, 2020. Haha, Jetpack goes brrrr.
Now there's 6 directions to watch for.
Zip, zoom, straight to the moon.
Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Moonpier.
Titles. Sorry, I have to write down what I'm writing, otherwise I can't write.
And the Nimp.
Hello.
Patreon.com/E1M1, the ones are numbers. You get to get a whole bunch of cool behind-the-scenes early access stuff. We're putting out a lot of audio every week. Like, it's just a lot of the Outcast, the cool... before we start going live audio stuff where we kind of sit here and have an uncensored discussion about stuff, what's been going on in our lives in the last week.
Random.
That's usually like at least a half an hour every week. So you got last week I learned a brand new wrestling word. This week we're catching up on some of our media. It is always a good time. And then I get your help paying for the show, because the show is expensive.
Yes.
And software is expensive and hosting is expensive. We've never had a hosting outage in the entire almost 13-year history of the show. And that's expensive. So I want to make sure that you get this fine show and all the related programming, and that costs money. So patreon.com/E1M1. Thank you very much if you're a patron. If you're not, go sign over there for, $2 a month, but the $5 a month tier is the best one where you get everything. And anything above that is extra appreciated. Speaking
of which, at the end of the show, before the titles, I would like to have a conversation with you about another goal, or the goal in question, which we'll go through at the end. And yeah, if you're thinking that if you like content for your ear holes, Boston has a problem. I'm an enabler. Nimp is just an innocent bystander in this whole ordeal.
I'm just an observer.
I want to rank. I want to rank. Patreon.com/E1M1. We got 2 weeks left on our most recent Game Club episode, or Game Club game for Saturday Morning RPG. It's I blew through the
on that thing.
It's going to be a spicy one, guys. I blew through the first of 5 episodes in the game in 35 minutes, so probably not a super long title here, and I have not finished the second one for spicy reasons. But yeah, we're playing Saturday Morning RPG right now. Moonpier, let's talk about what you've been playing this past week.
Apex Legends. Sorry, a little catch in my throat there. I'm not going to keep talking about that game over and over again.
I'm not even going to write it down.
No, just don't.
I'll write cough, Apex Legends cough.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about Spengineers.
Yes.
My new problem game, I predicted it correctly. Spengineers is a problem. A very serious problem. That's, for anybody who's new listening, that's Space Engineers.
Yeah.
Which is Minecraft in space, but about 50 times more complicated. Yeah,
Factorio also in space?
Ish,
I think Factorio's in space.
Factorio is in space already, yes.
Yeah.
So I built the mining vehicles that fly for me and Rob, and I may or may not be in the process of building vehicles to try and get us into space.
I like it.
So there's a lot of mining and getting resources and basically trying to plan out, without knowing the first thing about physics, trying to plan a vehicle to get me into space.
Okay.
Because the game has physics, and it's one of those things where I might be in trouble when I point this thing at the sky and try and actually, launch into space.
Right.
There will be testing. There will be save scumming, because I'm not spending another 45 hours getting the materials to rebuild these things I just crashed into the side of a mountain.
Yeah,
right.
It'd probably be a good thing to stay in atmosphere. That way you at least have a ground to return to in one way or another.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing so far, and I want to get out of atmosphere because I want uranium, because I'm sick and fed up of stupid batteries. Like, you can build basically generators that produce so much power, but to power them, you needed uranium. And you only get uranium per the tooltip in the game from asteroids in space or asteroid impacts on the planet. And I don't feel like flying all the way around the planet I'm on just to try and find asteroid impacts.
All right, just to find like one asteroid.
Yeah, and then I get like 12 kilograms of uranium, which is enough to make one uranium rod, which will power my base for a day. It's just like,
okay,
no.
That kind of game.
Yeah.
Right.
I am going to take my 15,000 cubic liter large cargo container, which just happens to have a rocket strapped to the back of it, into space, fill that thing full of the green stuff, bring that back down to my base, and then power it forever. Thank you very much.
That's right.
Them's my plans.
I like it.
Remember, I think it was last week I mentioned this is a very good small steps game. I'm still feeling that way, but now the small steps are considerably more time consuming and a whole bunch more lethal when they go wrong.
It's not so much that they're time consuming, it's that you're trying to be safe about it, because I'm pretty sure you could get there and back just by fudging it and making it by accident.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Let's go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, I have thought about just building a cockpit, strapping the biggest rocket engine to the bottom of it, filling the inventory with hydrogen, and seeing if it can make it.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean,
because
you're basically just describing my No Man's Sky experience of, well, I've made it to this planet, I have no way to fly again, so I guess I'm living here now.
Right. My new home. It's beautiful.
But honestly, like, Space Engineers continues to be that perfect podcast game. Like, my wife is playing DayZ, she's chatting with her friends, she's going around gathering stuff while they get into fights with people, and I'm just sitting here with my welding torch going while listening to a podcast or six.
Looking at work orders.
Yeah.
Yes. Catching up on my Banffcast, you know. Oh, I need 12 metal plates, and ooh, that was a funny joke. Hee 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 hee. Now I need large steel tubes. Go build some of them. Crap, I ran out of iron. Better save the game. Get into my flying machine. Fly to the mountain. Very, very, very carefully mine with my flying ship thing. Very carefully is an understatement. Like, less than 0.25 meters per second as soon as I'm anywhere near the reach of the floor.
Right. You're like you're holding your breath.
The test flights went very...
All I can think of is like is just some thing that's taped together, and the only thing holding it together is the bird poop and spit that you have on it. So it's like anytime you breathe funny, the ship shudders, and
and you're mining above the corpses of the test experiments.
Well, anytime you turn the drill on, the whole front of the mining ship just starts to shake. But the problem with that is when you're like, the gravity is pulling you down towards the core of the planet. Mm-hmm. But when you're on a mountain that's at a 45-degree angle and you're trying to mine into it, your gut instinct is to go flat, then tilt downwards. But then gravity is pulling you diagonally into the hole because it's a diagonal slope. Physics is determined to destroy me, is what I've learned from this game.
Right.
Because every time I try and do something, the ship just starts like rocking side to side, and then you got to correct that, and then you got to correct back again, and then before you know it, you're doing barrel rolls and backflips, and your ship has exploded, and it's time to load the game again because I'm not.
And you got the
secret.
You got the secret tape on top of the school.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. It's gonna
do that sweet 900 on the way.
As your drill ever caught, and then the next thing you know, your plane is actually the one that's rotating around.
Exactly. Not yet, but it wouldn't surprise me for a second if it did.
Yeah.
There's some weird stuff going on in this game, and it's honestly, for me, it's just a fun switch my brain off kind of game.
It sounds really good.
I'm not going to go achievement hunting in this game. I know I'm not, because it has those types of achievements. But it has allowed me to wash off the daily grime of 2020 from my brain a little bit, which, you know, sometimes that's what you need in video games. And to be honest, it's fun to get Rob in there and then have to remind him every single time we play together how to turn your flashlight on, how to turn your jetpack on. Whereas I'm building these vehicles of magnificence for him, and he can't remember how to walk.
And he's like, jetpack goes brrrr.
Yes, pretty much. But it's just been one of those great little wind down games, which I these days I can appreciate, especially, like I said, when I'm listening to podcasts, trying to catch up on stuff. You know, I re-listened to all Systems Goku again. Thank you very much, Boston, for that. Which
I'm in the Boo is about to be born in my listening. It is very fun for them to be like, I don't know about these sequence of episodes. It's like, yeah, man. I don't know. That's not
especially because Kai at that point just basically doesn't take anything out. It's the whole show from that point. They don't cut anything at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And listening to the three of them figure out that Bibbidi, Bobbidi, and Boo are three characters, and them go like, "Oh, Cinderella is like,
mm-hmm.
Yep."
So, out of curiosity, by the way, the new wrestling term that we discussed that you learned last week, was that at the introduction of Mr. Satan by any chance? Did that start?
100%.
Yeah, I thought so.
Work, show, and kayfabe.
Shoot. Thank you.
Shoot. Yes, sorry. Work, shoot, and kayfabe were all rapid fire.
Lexicon.
Yeah, we're turning a work into a shoot, back into a work. And I'm like, stop, please.
Please end that sentence before you finish it, because that sentence is a reference to a hot dog shaped human who tweeted almost exactly that sentence that you said.
Okay.
Also, for the records, I'm vetoing hot dog shaped human from the title list.
I didn't even write it down.
I don't want that as a reference in the show.
Right.
But anyway, yes, other than Spengineers, so I have Game Pass. I have limited funds. I have many games to play. I have 300 which I bought that I still haven't played. Why not just play a new Game Pass game? And for those of you who follow me on Twitter, you get the notification when I start a game, so you know what game I'm going to be talking about now. It's Nier Automata.
Yeah.
Which I have never played.
Oh.
We're ready for some real sad boy times here. How much do you know about this game going in?
I am aware of a lot of it because I listen to Giant Bomb's Game of the Year podcasts.
Okay.
However, that was 2 years ago, so I know 9S, 2B, Pascal. That's it, pretty much, is all I remember.
Okay. And you know to play it through to the end of ending.
Yeah, and then there's an ending, then there's another ending, and another ending, and 15 million endings, and so on and so forth.
There are 26 endings. Yeah. A lot of them are very funny, where it's sort of like, oh, you did this thing, you died. That's ending K. It's like, okay.
I haven't pulled my OS chip out yet, for example. I know that is an ending.
That's a real good one, yeah. Also, one ending is save first. At some point, you get a fish. The eating a fish is an ending, and that's a real good one too.
Is that the fish that Jackass references in the emails?
I don't think so.
No, I think it's different.
Okay.
But anyway, so you sort of know the base through osmosis. You've gotten the basis of like ending A isn't the end. Just keep going.
Yes, I know some basics about this stuff. I'm about to get all the haters coming at me.
Mm-hmm.
To play, this game is distinctly average.
Yes.
This feels, because I'm aware of the hype train that came with this game. I am all too aware of the hype train that this game got. Like, when you have Jeff Gersman talking about a Platinum game and saying he doesn't feel like he could recommend the Xbox brand to somebody because it didn't have Nier on it, that's a pretty big statement about the quality of a game.
Right.
I feel like the reason for that is the storytelling in this game.
100%. Yeah.
Specifically the back-end storytelling.
Yes.
Because at the moment I'm playing this game, it is okay to play. It is a very average character action game from Platinum, who I expect better from, if I'm completely honest.
Yep.
Like,
the first playthrough, Route A, not great, truthfully. But, like, the further you get into it, you play as different characters. They play better. The story starts really coming together, but that first, especially like the first 15 minutes of that game is sort of like, wait, I'm playing like a shmup? Wait, I'm fighting an oil rig? Why did they just ting? And like the game starts back over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just think of it as your first 20-hour tutorial.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. That was going to be my next reference. It's very much the Final Fantasy, well, you have to get to hour 41 before you can enjoy it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fine. Right now, it's a brainless game that I press the X button, some weird waves come out my sword, and people die, and that's fine.
Here's some great music, great voice acting.
Yeah, crack out the list of games that you have done music for the show for, Boston, because I know me mentioning this game means that Nier Automata is going to be in the show at some point.
I mean, it's a given.
Right now, after this section, probably. The music is fantastic. Here are my notes so far. For the record, I have not beat the game once yet.
Sure.
What is this game? Question mark.
Oh, good question. Yes.
Intro to Metal Gear Solid 2, because I'm sorry, but all I can think about when fighting that first Goliath thing, Colossus, what are they called?
Are they oil rigs? Yeah, oh, yeah. I don't remember. It's just a giant oil rig that has a face.
The first thing I thought of was Metal Gear Solid 2 because that's all I think about when I see oil rigs.
Big shell.
Possibly a slightly prerogative, that word, coming up soon, and I apologize in advance. What kind of shooter is this? Oh, hey, I made it to Robot Disney.
The music in that place is great.
Phenomenal music.
Yeah.
No idea what's going on, but sure, fine. I can accept that.
The NPCs in that area are kind of great, too.
Yes.
Yep.
Just because you don't expect it.
Yeah, and I've done the stamp quest, for example. There's a lot of side quests in this game, and it just feels like filler. But I understand they can build the world, so I'm doing the side quests.
Some of that stuff loops back around in some future playthroughs.
Yeah, I figured as much, specifically with the guy who's like, oh, I've got missing 3 highly sensitive data chips. Yep. And then you get the message from command saying one of them is a Yoha Unit 1, which this dude shouldn't have. Whatever. Yeah. I was introduced to the village of France. So...
Right.
I apologize for that reference right there.
The friendly robot village, right?
Yes, the friendly robot village who are all waving white flags. To quote The Simpsons, cheese-eating surrender monkeys, or in this case, cheese-eating surrender robots.
We love you, French listeners.
Yes, we do. I absolutely adore France. Some of the best food ever. I did a whole bunch of other quests. I've got the pink bow, the blue bow. I helped the sister in the desert. I've done some weird stuff.
That robot sister in the desert asking where babies come from is really great.
Yes. Like, that is some genuinely funny moments.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I know one major spoiler from the end of the game, which I won't talk about. I know what happens when you beat the game. Specifically, the question it asks.
Yes.
And I have just ran into the Jack Skellington head.
Okay. The moon head, crater face, or whatever.
Emil?
I don't know his name because I killed a robot. The robot's head opened up, and then Jack Skeleton head was there. Or
that's
the moon.
What
from
a weird scene, man!
The moon from Majora's Mask is on the floor, and then it rolls off, and your path is opened. It's like,
still a weird. Having played through that game and like nearly 100%ing it, what a weird scene.
I don't know what's going on. Let me just loop back to my first point here.
Yeah.
What is this game?
Yeah.
I've beaten the stupid forest area. I've met up with Robin Animal Robot, Robin Hood, except he likes animals. I've met up with that dude. I've beat the Forest King and met with the weird Yoha unit who stabs the baby machine for no reason at all. Female Sephiroth, as I will now be referring to her as, based on that scene.
Boy, she's great too.
I get that there's obviously something suspicious going on here based on just the conversations about command and stuff like that. It's like, is this the ultimate game for 2020 where you are fighting for the status quo and you are 100% in the wrong by any chance? Because that's what it feels like.
I am certainly not going to spoil it. I feel like I remember about half of this game, and I don't want to like accidentally spoil stuff. You're like, oh yeah, what about this? And you're like, I have not seen anything about that. Thank you.
Dude, I don't know. Does the dude who's painted white, the robot machine... Firstly, androids and machines. You're all machines. Stop referring to the machines as machines.
Yeah.
You're all racist against machines and androids and each other and humans, and I don't even know. Speciest, is it? What would be...
Androidist?
Yeah, I don't know.
Now you're digging into some deep stuff.
Yeah. You're ready for Nier Automata.
Yeah.
Like,
honestly, though, it sounds like you're pretty... From what I remember, you're pretty far into the game.
Yeah, you're close to the end of A.
From what I understand, the A is the long section, and then everything else is relatively short, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm like 15, 20 hours in, something like that.
You're pretty close to the end of A, then. The game is it's not very long.
Yeah, and I don't know, dude.
You're along for the ride, though, which I think is the most important thing in the intro. It's just sort of like, I'm going to let stuff happen.
You think you're confused now and you have questions. Let's talk next week.
Dude,
let's talk about ending C, and you're just like, why? Why would this game do this?
It's going to get worse. I know Adam and Steve are going to come back, or whatever their names are, who I don't know the names of them yet. They're going to come back and do something at some point. And female Sephiroth is still a question to be answered. The fact that the quote-unquote government is clearly hiding / hashtag fake news in my direction at every single moment.
Just super suspicious about everything.
Yeah.
Is this the 2020 game we should have got by any chance? Because right now it's feeling like it is.
Probably, yeah.
Like, it's a little bit unnerving. Let's get this out of the way as well. I like 9S. I like 2B. I very much hate how sexualized 9S is. She literally could have wore pants and it would have been fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
Is 9S the blind boy and 2B is the girl?
9S is the... 9s is the guy and 2B is the lady.
Yeah, as soon as you said 9s, it just reminded me that he likes to be called 9s, so yes.
Yeah. And of course 2B is like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I like them two so far. Like, their interaction is very... 2B is very much a sheep. Wake up, sheeple, Mrs. 2B. Wake up, open your eyes.
Stop toeing the company line.
Literally take the bandana off your eyes and you will be able to see the truth.
Right. Wink.
Yes. I do not like how very sexualized she is. Yeah. I get it. It's an android, whatever, who cares? But at the same time, put pants on her, not a problem at all.
I do have to respect Yoko Taro when people are like, dude, why is she like not wearing any pants? He's like, I like butts. It's like, oh.
At least he owns it.
Okay. Yeah, like, all right, I'm not sure I 100% agree with it, but I appreciate your honesty and just saying like, yeah, man, I like butts. What's up?
That very much explains why you are running at full speed. The clothes flap just enough.
Yeah.
Enough.
I think there's an achievement for seeing her butt when she climbs up a ladder or something like that.
Oh,
there is, yeah. And she like yells at you and kicks the camera or something.
Yeah.
This the same thing that's in Lollipop Chainsaw, where they do the exact same thing in that game as well.
Okay. Plagiarism. God. I'm glad you're along for the ride, because that's like through 95% of the game, it's just like, I don't know what's happening. Nothing is connecting. There's a whole lot of disjointed scenes happening. And you just got to go along with it.
Yeah, honestly, it's going to be a weird analogy coming up here, folks. It's a bit like Starship Troopers. I love Starship Troopers, the movie, as a sit down and watch it and don't think too much about it, because I don't want to think about the fact that that's a fascist society that we're probably heading towards sooner than I'd like to admit.
Look at the bugs exploding. Blap.
That's exactly why I want to watch Starship Troopers. But if I can just disconnect a little bit from that, I can be like, okay, cool, there's the pros and cons of the fascist society, and also this is very much a parody, very much like RoboCop was, #capitalism.
Right, here's the satire side of it.
Yeah, it's very much that kind of thing. I don't want to get into a Twitter argument with some jerk about how Starship Troopers is the ideal planet for everyone to live on, which happened to me once, by the way, when I expounded the virtues and cons of Starship Troopers. Some random atted me and was like, dude, that's clearly a movie about equality. It's like, go away. Just
God.
Turn around and walk away.
Right.
I started this because I thought, cool, I'll just play it and try not to think about it too much. And then immediately...
Whoops.
When I say think about it too much, I'm specifically talking about the looping it back into the real world thing. Because I can jump into Elite Dangerous and play that and not think too much, even though technically at one point I was a slave trader because I took some pods out from space. And
it's like me playing Division 2. Like me playing Division 2 right now, where it's like,
yeah,
that's not great.
Well, you could do that with Elite Dangerous because I'm not in a spaceship in real life.
Right.
But I'm playing this game. Well, I wish I was, but I'm not, unfortunately. Yeah. Specifically the one from SGU, taking me to a different galaxy, please.
Right.
Thank you.
Peace, losers.
But with this, it's like, okay, I'm starting to think about it, but the more I think about the game itself, the more it's looping back into real-world situations. It's like, the government is hiding something from me. This is very clearly a problem with prejudices between two different but entirely the same cultures.
Right.
This is clearly BS. Wait, there's aliens in the game too? Sure, I thought that was propaganda, but there actually are aliens. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
The more I play it, the more I think about it, the more it's looping back into real world, and I don't have a problem with that 99% of the time. You want to make me think about my mortality? That's fine. There's a reason I'm not playing The Last of Us 2 right now. Number one, I haven't played The Last of Us 1, and number two, it feels a little close to home to be playing a game about a pandemic right now.
It's a little too grim in hell year 2020.
But then I start playing this game thinking, oh, it's androids and machines and robots. It's just like, no, let's just bring up everything that's wrong with the world.
How do you feel about dying? It's like, wait, no.
And the fact that they do the little champagne glass ka-chink when they kill themselves at the start is just
cubes,
like,
just like, tink. It's like, that was, okay. That, all right.
It's like, okay, sure, why not? Let me just loop back around really quick. What is this game?
What is Firewatch?
Don't even go down that rabbit hole. But yes, as you can tell, I don't know how I feel right now. I'm sure that will change.
Yeah.
And that's all I've been playing.
All right, Nimp, how about you?
Well, I didn't have any deep revelations like Moon this past week, but...
Existential crisis is probably better.
Yeah.
Played Call of Duty, played Star Wars Battlefront. You don't have to write those down. Still really enjoying those. I'm really liking the Ewok hunt in Battlefront. Yeah. That's kind of the only
That sounds like a lot of fun.
There's a lot of modes in Battlefront 2 that I didn't realize because I just jump in and hit play all because that's just a button they have at the start screen. So I've been jumping into like all kinds of random things, and they're all pretty fun. Some of them kind of suck every once in a while, but there's just a ton there, and I'm actually really surprised because I think rightfully I wrote it off as a cash grab when it originally came out, but I think since
it kind of was,
I think since they took out all the pay for stuff, that they actually started putting in more time with the game and really fleshed it out. So if you're interested in it, I'd say pick it up because there's a lot of stuff there. Fighting a hero one-on-one when you're just a grunt soldier always ends poorly.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing good ever comes from that. I can't tell you the many times I've been killed by Yoda and Grievous. I actually had... Okay, so in one map we were on the Death Star. I was playing Empire. I was just a regular assault clone trooper. And I noticed that Yoda was off in the distance, coming in my general direction. But there was a lot of people between me and him. I'm like, not screw this. And I ran. And I ran for a good long while, cutting through corridors and all this stuff, and kind of got lost on the map. And I turned around, and all of a sudden, there was a green lightsaber there, and that freaked me the hell out.
Yeah. Playing the first one, like, the first one felt the same, and it turned into an amazing game. And there was something so special about, like, just being a random goob. You walk into a room, and then all you hear is...
Yeah.
And you're like,
and you see the red light coming flying at you, and you're just like, oh, great, I'm dead.
Yeah, which
That's cool.
I think they do a really good job with the hero characters because they are supposed to be more powerful than your general grunt character. So one-on-one, you're not going to win, but it's kind of really awesome when you do see Vader walking down the hallway towards you and you and 20 other people turn around and light him up and take him down.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
is the squadron battles in it, like the space battle stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got all kinds of modes.
That was one of my favorite modes in the first one, was the space battles, because you could be the spaceships. And my favorite is they have hero ships in the first one. I'm assuming they're doing this too.
Yep.
And there's something really satisfying about that of Slave 1 specifically. Has that very distinctive firing noise.
It still has that, and it also has that mine canister which lights up the concussion mine.
Yep.
That thing's kind of terrifying. But yeah, every hero character, every class, and every ship is its own character. So you're leveling each individual thing by itself every time you use it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
There's so many bars to fill, dude. So many bars to fill.
There's a lot of things to unlock for each thing. It's kind of overwhelming a little bit. So outside of that, played a lot of Bloodborne this week. And I finally beat the Martyr Lugaris, who is the boss for... Holy crap. I can't remember the place I was in.
In Orlando.
No.
That's Dark Souls, dude.
It'll come to me later. The place I have... Canehurst. There we go. That boss sucked because physics is an issue in this game. So... I remember saying several episodes ago, probably at this point, that I cheesed the bagmen because they were too tall to fit into a doorway, and that's how I grinded out a bunch of things. And I said I did this because eventually the game will get me back. And this boss was the game getting me back because you fight this boss on a rooftop, and the roof is slanted. The very top portion of it is flat and level, but everything else is slanted.
Okay.
And normally that wouldn't be an issue, except for that when you go to counter this guy's attacks, since he's either above or below you, your shots don't necessarily hit him because physics in this game.
Right.
And even if you are level, sometimes your shots just go right through him.
Oh.
So that was a massive pain to work around. But the boss has two different phases. Once you drop him to roughly half health, he starts out where he's evading you and trying to get away and does a lot of long range spells. And if you get too close, he has like this burst spell that he does that can really jack you up. But once you drop him down to around half, all of a sudden he changes and he gets right up in your face and he's constantly attacking you. And if you get too far away from him, he pulls out his sword that he's attacking you with and slams it into the ground and leaves it there. And all of a sudden, all these other swords start materializing in the sky and they home in on you.
Jeez.
Oh, so he pulls a Bleach.
Yes.
That specific captain I'm thinking of that I can't remember the name of.
Yep. It's
not
remember. Great. So I managed to get good enough through the first phase where I could take him down to half health without taking any damage from him whatsoever. But the last phase where he all of a sudden starts getting super fast and in your face was just the biggest pain because dodging doesn't work because of the incline. I mean, you can still dodge, but it's just he has this one attack where he'll jump up in the air and hover there for a second and then he'll rush down at you. And at that point, you lose your lock on because he's too far away. So you're sitting there trying to constantly dodge because he homes in at like the very last second of him moving. And you can't see him. So you're constantly just dodging all over the place. He cannot fall off the roof because they put up invisible barriers for him, but you can. And that happened once, and that was not great. But yeah, I probably spent 3 hours on just this one boss, and my last time taking him on, I was getting the parrying down. I was still really good with health, but I was running out of Quicksilver bullets, and he was like literally down to like a half inch of health, and I was just like, I got to change my strategy right now, or else this is not going to work. And so I tricked out my weapon so that it went back into a greatsword and just rushed him. and managed to just barely have enough stamina to take him out in 4 hits, which is all of my stamina in one, because it was pretty much a kamikaze run of this is either going to do it or it's not.
Right.
So, the best kind of run.
Yeah. And he rushed me. I rushed him at the same time, took him out, and I set the controller down and walked away for a minute because, God, was that just unsettling how close that was.
Right.
So, beat him. I got the crown that he drops. I unlocked the hidden area. That's within the hidden area. That's within another hidden area. I had to look up a guide on that because I knew my buddy wanted me to get something from this guy, but I didn't know what it was for. And of course, the game doesn't necessarily clue you in on what's happening. So I was like, all right, what do I need for this? So figured that out. I'm now part of some weird cult again, whatever.
Sure. Checks out. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of just say there's all kinds of covenants in this game that you can join. And I kind of just say yes to any of them that I come across because it's my first run. I don't know what's happening and I don't really care right now. So
yeah,
either it'll work or it won't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, now I'm just trying to figure out where I have to go next. I think I have to go back to, excuse me, I'm not going to pull this name. The last place that I was at where I was having issues, I think I have to go back there now, but I'm not positive. Right. So I'm going to kind of head back there, see how everything works. I've still got that hunter in that building that I couldn't beat the first time. That was weird.
Skype.
Yeah. So yeah, at some point I'll mess around with it again. The next game that I played was Battletech on Steam, the 2018 version of the game. This is the front mission like game with mechs, and it's awesome. And I was getting to the point where you basically start out the game where you're in debt and the bank is constantly threatening to take your ship back, and you have to constantly pay loans back as well as repair your ship, buy supplies, all this fun stuff. So money is fairly scarce in the very beginning of the game.
Right.
And it was kind of getting to the point of I cannot do enough missions that make me enough money to keep up with this.
Oh, okay.
Because after every mission, or during missions, obviously your mechs are taking damage, but then your pilots could potentially be getting injured as well. So you have a set amount of days for your things to be repaired, and you also have a set amount of days for your pilots to be healed.
Oh, okay.
Which means you can't take missions if you don't have enough mechs or enough pilots. Which means I'm not making money while this countdown's going down that, hey, your next financial loan is due in like 2 days. And it's like, well, I haven't had a mission in 30 because I'm waiting for people to heal.
Right.
So
man.
You get to a point in the story, I think that was manufactured that way. And then I've gotten to a point in the story where all of a sudden I got this really lucrative mission because story. So now money is still an issue, but it's not as big of an issue as it was. We're not living off of ramen noodles. You know, we've got a little bit of spaghetti in there now.
Right. You can put an egg in there now.
Yeah, exactly. So that's catching up. I really love this game.
Yeah.
The missions, probably like 15, 20 minutes each mission. So it's
not too bad.
Yeah, it's not terribly bad.
Skype.
And yeah, it's being all sorts of funny. But the customization of each mech is why I really like it. Just the things that you can do with it is really awesome.
Real front mission stuff where it's like you can do whatever you want with your mech, even if it totally screws your mech.
Which is actually what I was about to say, because even if it's a really bad idea, you will get a warning before you start a mission saying, hey, this mech has too much tonnage. It's not going to move very fast. Or, hey,
I don't think they can walk.
Yeah, it's like, or, hey, you added this weapon to this mech, but you didn't put ammo with the weapon, so it can't
At least
use
it warns you instead of like you're halfway through the mission, you're like, oh, I don't have any ammo.
Yeah, but if you don't read it, though, you still run into that. Because it gives you like a wall of text of this is why things aren't working. And I had to dig through stuff to figure out what was going on with my mechs. And even then, I still went into battle where like one of my mechs 4 of the weapons, only 2 of them I could use because I wasn't paying attention to ammo count, and one of them was damaged or something, which I'm still trying to figure that out too, because apparently if your weapons become damaged, they when you look at the mech when you get back to your ship, it'll turn that weapon red and there'll be an X through it. And I thought you could just repair that weapon, but it does not seem like it. It seems like you just scrap that weapon out, and then you just pull out whatever weapons you have in your stockpile.
Buy a new one.
Yeah, or buy a new one. But I did not know that. I thought, okay, I'll just hit repair all, should be good to go, and then go into battle. No, doesn't work that way. So yeah, it's got a bit of a learning curve to it, but it's still a really fun game. I really enjoyed it. And then the last game that I played this week was Rocket League with my son and my daughter. I actually streamed a little bit of it earlier today. My daughter was really, really bent on having cat ears, and luckily my son and I have been playing long enough that at some point within the last couple of years we've unlocked cat ears. So now she is playing.
We got what you need.
Yeah, exactly. Now she is playing with my car, which has copycat paint logo on it, which is basically a cat laying down on it with cat ears on it.
Perfect.
And that's made her day.
Yeah.
Simple things.
Yeah, exactly. I actually played fairly competently today, which really surprises me. I was making goals and saves like I knew what I was doing, even though I don't.
Ready for the tournament scene.
Yeah, exactly. And once again, speaking of tournaments, for some reason, I am still a silver tier player, and he is still a bronze. Weird. And he plays way more than me, so I have no clue how this ranking system works.
Jeez.
Because I haven't touched this game in months, probably.
Right.
So, and I know it's not judging off a play style.
No, probably he plays more and loses more than you do.
Maybe, I don't know. But I would have thought he would have been silver, platinum if it goes that high at this point, because the kid's good.
Yeah.
I can say as a proud dad, my kid knows how to play.
Right.
It goes into like diamond and then grandmaster, I think it is.
Oh, geez.
Sure.
There's a lot.
Why not?
Yeah.
So that's all I've been playing this week.
All right, I sent my Joy-Cons out for repair, finally, and Nintendo has received them, so 07, good luck, little buddies. Nim's got his shipping label. I have to say, I'm really impressed with how I had to do this. You go fill a form out on Nintendo's site. All you really have to submit is a Switch's serial number. To say like, yeah, I have a Switch, and then say what's wrong with it. And there's basically an option for like, yo, my sticks drift. And they say, all right, fine. It's free. In a couple of days, we'll email you a shipping label. Slap that on an old box you got laying around. I had one of the libraries near me had a drop box for UPS. Chuck that thing in there. I never had to deal with a single human being.
Yeah, and then that's good.
Couple weeks later, I should have... I'm going to assume they're just going to give me brand new Joy-Cons because it's the neon red and blue that like all the Switches come with. So I'm assuming they're just going to be like, yeah, whatever, put them in the incinerator, just send them to you new ones. So
yeah, mine are the original grays that they came out with. So
okay. Pretty much the same. We're just like, yeah, we got a million of these.
Yeah.
Give them a brand new one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like I had the special Splatoon type or anything.
Yeah, I've always wanted some of those cool colors, especially like the Splatoon neon ones, but I'm kind of glad I don't now, because then they even say when you send them in, it's like, hey, if you got some really rare stuff, we can't guarantee that those ones are going to come back. So think about it, maybe. So, yeah. Final Fantasy V Forge Jab Fiesta 2020. My first run is done. That was... except for 2 boss battles. No, run 2. That, except for 2 battles, I talked about the Liquid Flame one with 4 Berserkers before. Everything else in the game was super easy except for that battle and the final boss battle. Because with my group, to go over it again, Beastmaster, Berserker, Mystic Knight, Berserker, that's just DPS City. And all you do for every other boss is just win the DPS race, because you can do way more damage than they do faster, and you just motor through that game. The final boss battle is longer than all of the other boss battles by design, so you can't DPS race it. And if you try to, the game punishes you, because the boss kind of goes nuts if you take down one part at a time, as opposed to sort of spreading damage across it. So I just leveled up to, I think it was level 49, and won the DPS race anyway. So I just
out grind.
Yep.
Yeah, like I ground my way through there and just kind of took care of it. So that first run was a Chaos Berserker Risk run. So I thought, for my second run, let's play it safe. And let's do a regular run. And this is, every time you unlock a job for each of the 4 crystals, it only gives you the jobs from that crystal. So this is a standard 4-job Fiesta run. I got Black Mage, Time Mage, Geomancer, Dancer. Half okay. Like, Black Mage is a glass cannon throughout the entire game, and Time Mage is fine. Geomancer is bad. It's just like there's no splitting hairs on that one, and Dancer is situationally really good, but for about 95% of the game is actively really bad. So I played it safe and got a really bad group.
Yep.
And Monkey Senior, from We Rogue Like It, is over there. He said, well, I'm going to do a popular run, which tries to weight your jobs towards what people voted for before the Fiesta ran, to punish the people that are doing the kickoff stream. It's basically 4 people compete to see who can finish the game the fastest. He got Blue Mage, White Mage, Blue Mage, White Mage, which is essentially, good luck, you super win this incredibly easy run. It's like, son of a... Okay, fine. So, Final Fantasy V. That game's great. 4-job Fiesta runs until the end of August. Go do a run. It's great. Moving on. I'm playing a game called Pixel Puzzle Adventure. That is Piczle. Pixel. This is on the Switch. What's that?
It's another Picross game.
You got it. But this one has a cool twist where apparently this is like the second or third in a series, and I'd never played the original. But what this is actually an adventure game where a bunch of stuff has been removed from the world, and you put that stuff back in the world in like this open world city environment by solving Picross puzzles. You successfully solve the puzzle, and the thing you draw gets placed in the world. The cool part about it is there's a ton of puzzles, but there's some light puzzle solving too in the world, where it's like, oh, in the first area I drew a puzzle and it was a tree that had gotten knocked over. It's like, oh, well, I just blocked my own path. I have to go find something and cut it out, or like cut it down. A couple screens over, like the edge of the city, you eventually, outside of a hardware store, you draw a chainsaw, and they're like, that's perfect, that's what I need. Pick that up, cut the tree down, and then you can go solve some more puzzles. So it's this kind of cool little thing where it's not just, here's a screen of 400 puzzles, go crazy. There's a little bit of, a light little bit of extra on top of it. So I think I've solved about 75 puzzles at this point, and I'm not even halfway through discovering the map. So wow, there's a lot in this game.
Do we have to have an intervention with you about these Picross games?
No, because then you'll have to have one with me about Elite Dangerous, and I'm not looking forward to that. So.
And me
That's
about
right.
Engineers and Elite Dangerous and Warframe and everything else.
Yeah. But
we'll just quietly
I
say
think,
we all have issues, and we'll agree to disagree.
Yeah, we're safe here. And I think the difficulty ramp on these ones is really good. The majority of the puzzles I'm doing now are 15 by 15, but they're not impossible. It starts with 5 by 5 and kind of ramps up pretty nicely from there. But it's really good so far. That's Pixel Puzzle Adventure, and I'm digging it. It's nice to have another Picross game on my Switch. 2 Point Hospital. They have expanded the Superbug network. This is that new feature on the console version I was talking about a couple weeks ago, where you and your non-existent friends on your friends list that are playing this game are working together to fulfill like organization-wide contracts. Mm-hmm. They've expanded it so you and every other person that's playing this game is working towards large-scale projects. So it's like one node will be 1,000 people need to complete this node to then move to the next node.
Okay, so they fixed it.
Yeah, and it seems like they might be different projects, but I sort of don't care, because like a lot of the projects it was giving me, the first project I got was like this thing that you could place in your hospital that like automatically traps and takes care of moon beasts. And it's like, oh, okay. Like the hot and cold areas don't have them, so whatever. And the second one, I think, was just like a display, like a poster for the hospital. And it's like, if I don't complete that, that's fine too. Like I sort of don't care. And it was nice when I fired up the community-wide one, because the community had finished about half of it already, and I was just like, and the game is just like, go reap your rewards if they've finished already. It's like, yeah, dope. All right, sweet. So I haven't played that a lot lately, but that continues to be good and frustrating and terrible and a really great game.
Did that come out this year, or did it come out last year?
Last year on PC, this year on consoles.
Interesting.
Yeah, so my top 10, considering it this year.
Yes, that's what I would say. That's why I asked.
Yeah. Next game, I'm playing Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. I wasn't sure that there would be a Vampire the Masquerade game that was more for me than Bloodlines, but this is a Vampire the Masquerade visual novel.
Oh, jeez. So it's a novel. So it's a book. Come on.
Yeah, well, so this game's actually really interesting. I think if anyone didn't listen to the last Game Club recap episode where we talked about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, I think one of the things we were the most surprised about with a game that is nearly 20 years old is that it handled difficult topics maturely. And I'm not talking about like video game maturely, where it's difficult topic. You know, like, I'm going to shoot it to death. I don't feel feelings. But it handled a lot of really heavy stuff with a much more gentle touch than I think any other game in like the last 10 years. Like it did a really good job.
Dignity and aplomb.
Yes, perfect. Coteries of New York gets close, but I think some of the writing is a little bit of a disappointment, because it doesn't have that fine touch that a 20-year-old game had, which is a bit of a disappointment, since I think that we were pleasantly surprised about Bloodlines. That being said, it's not bad. It's not offensive. There's just like little things here and there where it's sort of like, that doesn't feel like it's in the spirit of what we just played and what we just went through.
Out of curiosity, what platform are you playing it on?
Switch. Yeah, Switch. It's out on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch.
Checked. Yeah, it's on everything.
Yeah. The really interesting thing about it is most visual novels are static picture, a little bit of music, a little bit of sound effects, and a whole bunch of text. And a lot of choices, and you have the decision tree, and you're just sort of going through it. The interesting thing about Coteries of New York is, number one, there's some movement to some of the backgrounds. There's like some curtains blowing the background, like street lights are turning from red to yellow to green. Like there's a little bit of liveliness in the background, but some of the decisions are really interesting. Sort of once you get into the game starts off as, here are your 3 clans. I chose Ventru. It's like Ventru, Bruja, and something else. I think Malkavian, but it's one of the ones where I looked at it and went, nah. So it's probably Malkavian.
Torador.
And what's that?
Torador.
Okay. You start off with like, hey, you got turned into a vampire. Whoa. But it does a much better job, I think, of bloodlines of like, here's what it means to be a vampire. Here is what is expected of you. Here's the sort of political atmosphere of what's going on in New York at the moment. Like it does a much better job of introducing you to all that stuff, which I hope it would, because it's just text. The really interesting part is once you start learning how to use your power, and this is my first playthrough. I'm assuming it really wants you to play through 3 times. The Ventru, I'm assuming it's my Ventru power, is to kind of influence people with my vampiric whatever. It's interesting because using that power is basically a shortcut through dialogue trees, where it's like you can go through and you can make the decisions and see if you do the right one or the wrong one, or you can kind of charm them to do what you want and kind of get through it. But the downside is the more you use your power, the more that you have to find some way to balance that with feeding through other dialogue trees.
Interesting.
So you're sort of saying like, all right, I just want to take the shortcut now and deal with the benefit later in another conversation, as opposed to maybe getting through the conversation, living with the consequences, and then maybe using that later. Because the game, just like Bloodlines, is very much like, look, don't break the Masquerade, don't lose your humanity. If you use your power too much without feeding, you're gonna lose your humanity.
Yeah.
So,
for the record, by the way, I love the fact that is the reference they make. The Masquerade is a fantastic play on words.
It really is, yeah, and that is. It does the great thing that a lot of visual novels do, where like the red text will pop up and be like, a new term has been entered in your diary. It's like Masquerade, and it has a whole little paragraph about the Masquerade. So far, it seems really good. The art is solid. The writing is fairly solid so far, and I kind of like that they're taking another step with a visual novel instead of just read through all this text and pick run away or don't run away, and that's where the storyline converges. There's a little bit more to it, and I think that's pretty cool. But I think I've played 2 or 3 hours into it, so I'm not entirely sure how deep I am, but I'm a good amount of the way through it. Diablo 3's new season started.
No,
Friday,
Boston,
season 21.
Speaking of interventions.
Yeah, this season is a little bit disappointing. Last season was really good because it was, Kanai's Cube, where you extract the orange gear's skills and you kind of get an extra set of skills.
Yeah.
The cube, typically, you can only pick 1 weapon, 1 armor, and 1 ring skill to slot in the cube. Last season was pick whatever 3 you want. You can mix and match across all the different gear types. So it was cool kind of making builds that you typically can't do because of that restriction. This season is just every once in a while an elemental effect comes out of you. So like you'll breathe lightning, or fire will roll off of you, or a giant snowball will come out and roll over your enemies. It's kind of not great because it doesn't feel super strong in the early game, which is kind of where you want something like this to be strong. And as I continue to level, I'm at like level 57 or something. It doesn't feel like it's getting that much stronger as I get stronger. So it's just kind of annoying more than anything else. I don't know if by the time I get to Torment 10, if it'll be like, oh, good, this happened. It'll help me clear out one of these Nephilim rifts or whatever, but like it doesn't seem like it's something super great at this point. But it's still Diablo 3, and it's still really great. So, and Division 2 Season 2 just started. Not a lot to talk about there. I don't know if I talked about the end of Season 1, but they essentially have this... Oh, okay. Well, that's a bummer. Let's recap it really quick then, because the new raid launched. I will never be able to do it. I don't really care. It looks super cool. It will never be a thing I'm going to be able to do. What they introduced at the beginning of Season 1 is called Manhunts, and it's every 3 weeks a new target appears in either DC or New York, and you have to do a bunch of stuff in a couple of areas, and it's like complete a mission, capture control points, do bounties, typical game stuff, and then clearing all of those areas will give you a bounty for the person you're hunting. You go take them out and you'll get some benefit. It's usually like a powerful named weapon or some cool armor or something like that. In the first season, and that happens every 3 weeks. And they're repeating that in Season 2, which is why I bring it up. The Season 1 finished with the big bad person. You finished all the other 4 people and then found out the location of the last person. And it initially was a little bit disappointing because the final target was like, go over here and do this mission. It's like, oh my God, I've done that mission so many times. But you go in and they radically changed what happens in that mission, and they kind of changed where you go in that mission. So it was fairly different. At the end of it, you got an EMP sticky grenade, which was a brand new skill that they introduced in that. So it was kind of a cool capstone to the season where it's like, you did all this stuff, you leveled up your battle pass. Here's kind of a cool, different, very challenging thing to go do. And thankfully, they're repeating that for Season 2, and they've made the battle pass much more generous. They've sort of taken out the stuff that is going to be a lot of repeats of what you might have, where it's like, here's a bunch of textiles. You can't even buy anything with those, so they took those out and they replaced them with like gear caches or exotic caches or stuff like that. And they also came out with a new big patch where you can get an exotic cache every week really easily by just kind of donating a bunch of the stuff you pick up throughout the game. And all the exotics that launched that were New York exclusive are now dropping in DC as well. So you can kind of farm wherever you want for whatever you want. You don't even have to farm in the Dark Zone because nobody is in there. You can just kind of do it wherever.
Isn't that the best time to go in the Dark Zone when nobody else is there?
No, because the only people that are in there are people that want to ruin your day. It's not even just like...
Oh, so the wrong people are in there.
Right, because to me, the dream of the Dark Zone is you're always looking over your shoulder and there's always like this tense sort of truce between you and the other people that are in there. It's like, did he get a bunch of good stuff from this landmark, or should I go rogue and maybe steal it, or should I just worry and just get rid of the stuff that I have that's okay? You know, there should be that kind of push and pull of trying to keep the peace, but maybe breaking it will get you really great rewards. But the people that are in there are people that are camping the entrance to this DZ with stuff that sets you on fire almost immediately. So in the animation of you opening the door, you're on fire and you're dead. Nice. So like there's like you literally can't even get into the DZ to then get killed by these people. So I'm glad they did it because I don't mind going in the DZ. It's just no one is having fun in there right now, which is a real bummer. I think the Division 2, just like Destiny 2, is in a really solid spot right now, and neither fan base of either games is happy, which I think is hilarious. So I think Division 2 is often really cheap, and a really long and great game. And Destiny 2 is free, and the free version gives you a whole bunch of stuff. So if you've ever wanted to play either one of those, the seasons for both of those games just started within like the last 2 or 3 weeks. So now's kind of a good time to hop into both of those, because they're both really great games, and they're both a lot of fun to play.
Yep.
As we talked about before, sort of if you don't think about it, especially in the Division 2.
Yeah, switch your brain
Don't worry
off.
about the story. It's fine. Everyone went somewhere else, just for no reason. They're all out in California. Yeah. Yeah, they went on vacation. It's fine. All right, but that's all I've been playing this week, so let's take a break. Let's talk releases for the week of July 6th, 2020. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 comes out this week. Was just announced, coming soon, and then, it's out.
What?
PC, Switch, PS4, Xbox One.
What?
Yeah. This is the 8-bit side-scrolling one. Yeah. When they announced this, I was like, they're putting out a second one? And I saw the screenshots, and I was like, oh.
It's not the Metroidvania one, it's the other one.
No, they're putting out more patches that people don't want for that one. Catherine Full Body is coming out on the Switch, which is a game I forgot came out. So I didn't really hear a lot about that when that came out. So weird. One of my most anticipated games of this year coming to consoles, Frostcode, comes out Switch, PS4, and Xbox One.
What is it? It's another game with a random name that I don't know.
I think you can probably guess what type of genre this is.
Well, you're excited, so it's a JRPG.
Got it in one. This is the JRPG that came out on PC last year, I think, which is apparently kind of a love letter to like what a modern Super NES RPG would be.
Oh god, that's why you love it, you giant hipster.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like it kind of looks like it, but it thankfully doesn't play like it. And apparently the puzzles that are in there are actually challenging, as opposed to like, oh, I put the blue crystal in the blue pedestal and the red one in the red. Oh, I'm a genius. It's not that. It's like, no, man, like you got to actually solve a puzzle to get through this dungeon.
These screenshots just look like Children of Mana.
I was going to say, this is made by the same company that did Star Heroine, isn't it?
No, I think this is this team's first game.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. I believe, but I've been looking forward to this for a while. I'll probably pick this up on Switch when it comes out because it looks really good. A game I am disappointed I forgot is going to come out. Deadly Premonition 2, A Blessing in Disguise comes out on Switch. Swery posted a GIF of the game where someone is bowling, and the frame rate in the GIF is garbage, so it seems like a new Deadly Premonition game.
I was going to say, it seems legit. I did see the great meme, which was Deadly Premonition 2 struggles to hit 15 frames per second on Nintendo Switch is like a news article, and Deadly Premonition 1's fans all having a party.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm hoping this game is bad in the way that made the first one great, but not that it's bad in the way that would make the game bad. If that makes any sense at all.
I want it to be endearing and not horrible.
I want it to be like the most B-game hidden gem like the first one was, where it's like, I can't drive this car and I have trouble shooting, and I kind of don't understand what's going on, but by the end of it, you're like, wow, I really enjoyed it. That was actually a really great game, despite it looking like a PS2 game and coming out on the 360.
Yep.
Is that full price, or is it coming out at the half tier?
I don't know. I'm hoping it comes out at 40, but I'm not sure.
All right.
Yeah. While Moon's checking that, F1 2020 is coming out PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Stadia. So if you want to get your race on as the real races are getting their race on, you can do that.
$50.
Okay.
Okay. all right. Oh, okay. Sure.
Begrudgingly.
Right. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
I also F1 2020. I'll wait until next gen, please.
Yeah.
From what I understand, 2019 was a hell of a good version of that game.
Yeah.
But 2020, they've got 3 dev teams in studio now, and one of those dev teams, I'm pretty sure, is just working on the next generation set of games.
Sure.
So I'm fine. I might jump back into it and start playing the F1 games again in 2021, if we're all still alive at that point.
Or buy a cheap version of 2019 because
they're not cheap yet. They're still almost $50. It's like sports games. They don't go down in price until the new hotness comes out.
Yeah.
Right.
My favorite thing though on the PC version is people have just been modding in all of their own sponsorship stuff. And the Shift F1 crew did a community race, and a whole bunch of people just put the Shift F1 logo on their cars.
That's great. All right, let's move on to news stories. Typically on this show, we try to keep things light. I think that some of the ethos behind the show is we like to treat the show as escapism, especially in Hell Year 2020. But
it's getting harder and harder in this year of hell of 2020.
Yeah, a growing number of gross piles of garbage in human form have made that really difficult. It's unfortunate. We were going to talk about that last week, but I wasn't feeling well enough to kind of tackle how difficult this subject is. But basically, and the worst part of it is it started in the Destiny 2 community with one of the largest streamers, was that there have been an incredible amount of allegations against sexism, rapism, predation, just the some of the worst stuff you could do to another human being. These people are doing time and time and time again. And these incredibly brave people are coming out and recounting their experiences and talking about what happened to them and bringing these horrible people and their terrible actions to light. And
it's literally, it's every field. It feels like
it started with streamers, and now it's comics and movie and professional wrestling and the Pokemon community, which is some of the Smash, some of the grossest stuff is coming out of the poor people that have been affected in the Smash community. And there's so much that it would be impossible for us to try and wrap this stuff up. But it's an important enough topic to at least deal with here at the beginning to try and say that the best thing you can do is, when stuff like this comes out, is to believe the people that are talking about it and remove bad actors from your communities. This is
also really quick. 2 things I would recommend. Number 1, shut up. Number 2, listen. Yeah. 2 things you have to do before you do anything else is shut up and listen.
Which promote the voice you to do anything.
Yeah, well, promote the voices of those that need your promotion. It is not a time for you to be dropping hot takes on Twitter and saying well, actually, it's just delete that tweet. Just don't even save it in your drafts. Just let it go. Promote those that need your promotion. Help the people that need your help if they want or if they need your help. And get bad actors out of your community. I think that last part is the most important. It is, some of these people have gotten 2nd or 3rd or 15th chances. You gotta get them out. The reason why we're talking about this is Twitch has started banning streamers for allegations of the abuse and harassment and all the other terrible stuff, which is really great because deplatforming works, as we have seen over the last couple of years, and removing these bad actors from the places where they were able to find new people to prey on is the best avenue. And it is nice to see Twitter and YouTube and Twitch and would be Mixer, but we'll talk about that next. To see all of these platforms just say like, look, we're going to investigate internally. When these allegations stand up, we're going to take action. And I think that's great.
Yeah, I will honestly, from my side of this, I will not believe those companies. Internal investigations can go straight to hell, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
If you want a pretty good estimation of how I feel about it, go watch Jim Sterling's video on this. It's about 9 minutes long, and it's one of the most heart-wrenching videos you'll probably listen to.
Yeah.
Don't even have to watch it. Just listen to it.
I also liked how Jeff Grossman talked about it on the Giant Bombcast recently, where it's just sort of like, what place does he and Giant Bomb play in fostering some of this stuff, potentially accidentally, by who they used to be, and how do you come to terms with that? And I think that is really important for all of these industries and all of these communities going forward, is how can you make sure that you foster safe and constructive spaces, whether they're in person or online or however your community meets, because that's really what these communities and these spaces need to do. And educate yourself on what's been going on. Hit Twitter and start looking, and
you won't have to look far.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you won't have to look far. But yeah, it is nice to see. It is unfortunate that these people did any of this stuff, and it's unfortunate that anyone had to be on the receiving end of any of this. But it's really nice to see large platforms that have washed their hands of this stuff before now actually start to take action.
I'm looking at Ubisoft. I'm looking at Blizzard.
Yep. The one Destiny streamer, I'm purposely not saying the name of, just got banned from Twitch the other day because he deleted all of his apology videos and came on and started showing his receipts, which were all kind of a little too personally identifiable information. So it's like,
is he the one who posted an apology video, then posted a mid video, and then posted a third thing that just says, on second thoughts, go F yourselves?
That's been a lot of people, so it's sort of hard to narrow down for some of these scumbags. But yeah, this is a really hard topic, and it's typically a lot heavier than this show is, but this is one of those important topics where we want to make sure that we address the issue, because it's so large and so pervasive, which is just heart-wrenching. So
yeah, and just as a quick aside, I don't know if we actually ever said it on the show. I know I've said it on my social media. I know Boston has said it on his, and from the show social media too. But I don't know if we ever actually said it into microphones before. But Hey guys, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
We addressed it in a couple of pre-shows, like a couple of before the show kind of stuff. That's where we stand. And I don't think I'm speaking out when I'm saying this for all three of us.
And also Gamergate can go to hell. Yeah. We haven't said that in a while, but yeah, there was a really good Twitter thread where someone was like, hey, I don't agree with Giant Bomb saying Black Lives Matter and bringing politics in, which I'm not even going to get started on. They said, like, is there any other shows I can listen to? And someone recommended our show, which thankfully, but if you don't agree with Black Lives Matter, or if you say whatever BS is on the other side of that, don't listen to the show. Get the hell out. I don't really care. Go
that
away.
Is where we stand, like, period.
Yeah.
And year of our Dark Lord 2020.
That's right.
It seems to be the year for the voice of the voiceless, the CM Punk of the world, to stand up and start speaking. And I'm fine with that. Bring it on. Yep. Make everybody feel as uncomfortable as you possibly can, because at this point, speaking as a white guy, we need it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. 100%. So let's move on to our next news story, which I was going to say is happier news, but it's not.
Nope.
Mixer is shutting down. July 22nd. Mixer says, quote, "The time needed to grow our live streaming community to scale was out of measure with the vision and experiences that Microsoft and Xbox want to deliver for gamers," end quote. So that's the first half. Let's address this first half real quick. Mixer not catching in the live streaming world is not surprising.
Mm-mm.
I think it's disappointing. It's understandable that Microsoft is going to pull the plug and not continue to just dump cash into it like they normally do, because the viewership on Mixer was never got within a percentage of stuff like YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah. I think I saw the stats. I think Twitch was something like 635 viewers to every one streamer.
Yep.
And Mixer, on a good day, was 3 to 1.
Yeah. And it was doing like 0.2% of watch time month over month compared to Twitch. So like just not even in the same league. I'm disappointed because I loved the integration to Mixer with the Xbox One's whole OS. It's not even just the dashboard. It's streaming from within games, integrating Mixer into stuff like Forza Horizon 4, being able to watch stuff just on the dashboard without having to fire up the Mixer app. I think that stuff was really great. But it's understandable that, especially with a new console launching, and assuming that Microsoft and the Xbox division are going to be taking a loss on that new console for a considerable amount of time, like they usually do, having this giant black hole of cash over here wasn't going to work.
Mm-hmm.
The real surprise of it
there's two.
Is that
there's two real surprises here.
Okay,
maybe even three, depending on what he's about to say.
go ahead.
My first surprise, I'll bring up the two. My first surprise is which Dark Lord they're moving all of this over to.
Yeah, the Mixer traffic after the 22nd is going to start forwarding to Facebook Gaming, which I genuinely did not know was a thing.
I did.
Okay. I think they're smoking something if they think that, number one, nobody left, I hate saying his name, no one left Twitch to follow Ninja to Mixer.
Or Shroud, or any of the other people.
No one. They just
platforms.
They just found another streamer on Twitch because there's 50 million of them.
Yep.
And
they're not going to follow anyone from Mixer to Facebook Gaming, especially when the core target audience of streaming sites don't have a Facebook account.
Or, like me, actively hate Facebook.
Right, because a lot of the market for streaming sites, especially for Twitch, skews much younger, obviously, than we are, but it's like that 13, 18 range. None of them are going to have a Facebook account because Facebook is for old people, which it is now, unfortunately. What was the second?
Think about the people you get in touch with on Facebook. It's not your younger brothers, it's not your younger sisters, it's your mom, it's your grandparents.
It's my older relatives.
Yes. The second real dark, shady move here was the notification that they gave their employees over at Mixer.
Oh, I forgot about that.
A lot of them found out the same day it was announced.
Yeah, found out from the press release.
And a lot of streamers found out the same day it was announced.
Doing a lot of people real dirty. I understand that shutting down anything is really tough. I know a lot of people said, like, so what, the streamers didn't get notice? No, people run Mixer as a company.
Yeah.
You dummy. Like, that had actual, like, professional human beings working for it. So, like...
Well, number one, yes, the streamers didn't get notice. Number two, the teams who actually work at Mixer didn't.
Right.
Number three, who did? And who got them big, fat end of contract check payouts?
The top 2 Mixer streamers sure got their contract paid out all at once. And a lot of other Mixer streamers did get their contracts paid out at once, but they're not $30 million worth. They're not $10 million worth. So they're making a payday to then go build their fan base up on Twitch from the beginning, which is not great.
That was actually it's not going to be from the beginning anyway.
Not for But that was kind of the biggest issue, is that there are a lot of people that are partnered, are affiliated with Mixer, who were getting an income from it. That was their job. There's actually 3 people that I moderate for that was extra income that they were getting. One of them is disabled, and that was his main source of income besides his disability. And the other 2 were using it to help pay off bills that they couldn't afford. And now they're having to start from scratch on Twitch because nobody wants to go to Facebook. So it was kind of basically a big kick in the butt, and told them, okay, that's it, we're done.
The community dev teams over at Mixer, like, I've seen some of them people who work for Mixer at the community level to try and build this brand. And some of the, like, a couple of them are blaming themselves for this not being good enough.
Right.
Like, for failures on their part. It's like, no, it's no way in hell is any of this on those employees, those teams. This is on the bigwigs thinking, how can we make this bigger? Writing fat checks before and afterwards. And not thinking of how to do it naturally and better.
And Twitch really just having that momentum. And like, if you're not on Twitch, people just really aren't watching you. On
a positive note, though, a lot of the Mixer community has pulled together, and we have been helping each other out with figuring stuff out. I almost swore there.
Like how to get hooked up to Twitch and followers and stuff like that. That's good.
I didn't use Twitch a whole lot, and I never used it as a moderator. And there was a ton of reading and research that I had to do that I've passed on to several other communities that have passed it on to several other communities.
Nice.
We're all still figuring stuff out, but it's been really awesome seeing the Mixer community getting together to help everyone else get back on their feet to try to get ahead of this and try to get their stuff together. That way they're ready for when Mixer goes away. But if you notice, if anyone ever logs into Mixer anymore, 99% of the streams are just people with their streams up that just says, hey, come to my Twitch channel.
Right. Here's the URL. Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Well, let's
experience.
Yeah. Let's blow through a lot of these other news stories because I want to make sure we get to questions. Hitman 3 will let you import previous games, locations, and equipment. You can import all of the locations from the previous 2 games, and it sounds like they'll be updated for the new game. I'm not sure if that means graphically or if they'll be making some like changes to make sure that it flows with whatever's in 3.
They will be, because they did the exact same thing for 2. All of one stuff goes into 2, except you can use the new mechanics from 2 in the 1 maps.
Great. Equipment also includes outfits, most importantly. So the Sheik rides again in Hitman 3. Horizon Zero Dawn hitting PC on August 7th, 2020. It includes the DLC, does ultra-wide support, which is probably just going to look so good, and includes a ton of graphical enhancements. I think it also, because PC gamers are crazy stupid about this, I think it also includes an FOV slider, so you all can shut up about it finally. One of the craziest news stories in 2020, and the first time this has happened in the industry, Amazon's Crucible has been so poorly received, they're unreleasing it. They're taking it from released to closed beta.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I
didn't think about that.
Didn't Valve just do this with their stupid card game?
So that's the difference. If you look at Final Fantasy XIV and Artifact, the Dota card game, those were both still live and like you could play them. They're removing this from stores and reverting it to closed beta. So it's no longer available while they relaunch it.
Interesting.
Wild. 2020 is wild, dude.
Movies get patches.
That's
games
right.
Get unreleased.
Cats and dogs living together. Last news story here, probably the most important news story of 2020. The
100%.
Dead by Daylight developers have responded to allegations of them nerfing Pyramid Head's butt. They say, quote, I can confirm while our art team did continue to polish Pyramid Head, phrasing, his butt remained untouched. The apron covering his body was modified, which might create the illusion that his body was also changed. We leave it up to our players to discuss at length whether the change in garment has had a significant impact on his butt and how that will affect his performance as a killer. End quote.
Phrasing.
Yeah, phrasing. Best news story of 2020. Thank you so much, Dead by Daylight devs.
Dead by Daylight devs are insane, and I love them all.
You guys are great. All right, let's move on to emails. Stephen D says, hey, love the show. Hearing you guys discuss Ark brought me back to when I spent 100 hours plus playing every day after work. Went on vacation for a week, and when I came back, I had logged back in, and everything was gone to inactivity for too long. Have any of you experienced anything like this, losing a save file because it was corrupt or a memory card going bad?
I've had it with several mobile games when I've changed phones, and
yeah,
they've specifically when I've changed genres of phones, if I can use that terminology to describe the Apple versus Android divide. I went from the Android side to the Apple side, and the Star Wars game, I wish I could remember what it's called now.
Galaxy of Heroes?
Thank you. That's the one. That game, I was like 5,000 hours into it, and then when I switched from an Apple to an Android, it didn't have any way to transition my save across.
Right.
Thanks, EA.
Man.
So I basically stopped playing that because I didn't want to start all over again. I had one memory card lose about 5 years worth of WWE custom creator wrestlers for like SmackDown versus Raw 2000.
Man, speaking of PS1 memory cards, when we were in college, someone had bought one of those like 16 memory cards in one and had like
the stupid button.
That like toggle on the side where you like click it between things and they're different memory cards. The manual never said that if you turn on the PS1 when it's between clicks, it just wipes the whole thing. It's like he could never get it settled in right, and it would wipe not one memory card, but like 8 of them all at once. And he's like, what the hell, man? I was like at Junon in Final Fantasy VII, and I gotta start back over. It's like,
I'm not gonna lie, memory cards like that are why I do a whole bunch of research and only went first party with all memory cards.
Yep.
Yeah,
this is a baggie of PS1 and PS2 memory cards because I am an advent follower of back your stuff up.
Yep.
I've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 memory cards here.
Yep. A lot of cash in that little bag.
I mean, I think I was on the last boss of Dark Cloud 1 when my memory card lost all my save data on that one.
Right.
Let's see.
Notorious short game, Dark Cloud.
I keep them in a old hard drive padded case as well.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I've never had that issue. Except for, I had one time, Metal Gear Solid 5, when I was clearing out data for something, I don't remember what, for some reason it deleted my Metal Gear Solid 5 save.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it backs it up. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm good. I download the backup, and instead of me being at 98% completion or 97 or whatever, I was at 17% completion.
Oh, no.
Because it hadn't backed up my data the last time.
Was
they
this
didn't take the
PlayStation by
backup
any
last time.
chance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why I didn't do that, but that was mildly infuriating.
Yeah, I mean, that just happened to me recently with 2 Point Hospital, where I wasn't manually backing up my save because of library sharing, and I had to start that back over, which is okay because 2 Point Hospital is really good / infuriating.
And also, you did that in like a day. You go back to where you had been previously.
Yeah, like it wasn't exactly heavy lifting. If that happened now, I'd be done. Like, no, man, I'm good. I can't think of anything else. we've had like consoles fry. Like we had a lightning, like a power surge when we had a Genesis, and it like fried the main board on that, but only a little bit. So games would still work, but they would get real weird. I probably still have that Genesis somewhere in this room, but nothing major with. I've always been really crazy about like, this is this memory card, this is my memory card. Yeah. I'm gonna keep it safe. It's under lock and key. I can't lose this 200-hour Final Fantasy IX save.
Well, as a younger sibling, trust me, that was not so easy when I was growing up.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I even on top of having so many memory cards, I even went so far as to back up all of these memory cards onto my PS3 that I have sitting over here.
With that adapter? Yep. Yeah. Yep, I have that thing too.
Yeah.
God, that thing was dumb.
Yeah.
It's a PS2 to USB adapter. So stupid.
When I did that, I just used the one that was built in because I had the 80 gig PS3 with all of the memory card slots on the front and the backwards compatibility in it.
Yeah, when I bought my PS3, I didn't even know that was a thing until I brought mine to a buddy's house because he kept telling me all you have to do is lift the gate in the front and the memory slots are right there. I'm like, no, dude, this thing doesn't move. So I brought mine over, and that's when we noticed, apparently they released it that way where I don't have the backwards compatibility version, but I still put everything on there anyway with that little dongle because he had one sitting around for some reason. I was like, all right, cool.
Plug that thing into your PS4. Let's try it out.
We'll find out.
All right, last set of questions here is from T-Bomb Rocks in Discord. Since most days I work from home, to break the monotony of my day, I've started watching complete game playthroughs. It's really helped my gaming anxiety as I get to enjoy games in my backlog. I'm currently halfway through The Last of Us 2, and I feel like I'm enjoying it just as much as if I was actually playing it. Probably more because you can take breaks. My question is, what types of games do you enjoy watching almost as much as playing? And he has a couple other questions here, too.
Okay, we'll start here. Nice and quick. I don't. The only time I will watch other people play games is when it's a group of people I enjoy the interactions of.
Right.
When it's more about not so much the game, more about the people. The Achievement Hunter crew have done some fantastic things in Minecraft throughout the course of the years, and they've done a whole bunch of videos, but that's not about the game. It's always about the people.
Like I watch Northern Lion play Binding of Isaac every day. He uploads a new Binding of Isaac video every day, and like half of it is watching him get out of bad situations he's put himself in the game, and the other half is just this really crazy stream of consciousness he goes through for like 20 to 45 minutes. So like half of it is the game and half of it isn't. And I sort of don't watch people play a lot of games either, not out of any like, not saying Moon you're doing this, I'm not like drawing a line in the sand where it's like I'll never watch someone play a video game, but for me it's usually I would rather use that time to go play something I'm playing right now, like the in the balance between watch someone play Last of Us 2, which I'm super not interested in, or go play more of Coteries of New York. I'll just go play the thing. You know, that's where I would rather, on that equation, that's where I'll come out on probably 9 times out of 10.
I mean, he brings it up as like a breaking the monotony kind of thing. That's where I went to podcasts.
Like, or Giant Bomb quick looks.
Dude, no, I'm still like 2017. I'm up to now. 2017.
Hey, almost. You're making
3 years of videos to catch up on here. But no, I will go to podcasts, like doing laundry, doing dishes, doing chores around the house. Like this weekend, I went a bit crazy and did a whole bunch of cleaning over this weekend. Like sweat dripping off my face, kind of hot weather as well.
Right.
And the whole time I've just got my headphones in, I'm just listening to a podcast and I'm letting my brain do the thinking about the podcast while my body is...
Yes, boys. Mondo cool.
Mopping up the bleach. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I don't really watch anything that I'm interested in eventually playing. I don't ever watch anything for it.
Yeah, same.
If I'm going to watch something, it's going to be a game that I don't care about, but just kind of have a passing interest in what other people think about it. Yeah. So, yeah, that's about it, really. I've seen some really crazy games where I'm like, this game sucks, and I'm glad you're playing it, not me.
Yeah, like a lot of times I'll watch some like Destiny streamers. Like I watch Dado mostly because of his interactions with his community, so that's not so much about the game. And like I like watching them run raids, but like I watch Leopard Stealth, who plays Destiny 2, but what he does is a lot of soloing incredibly difficult endgame content. So it's not just like, I'm playing through Destiny 2. It's like, no, I'm going to beat my head against the wall now I'm on run 55 and I messed it up and I tried to do it flawless. Like, that's the sort of stuff
Destiny.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the sort of stuff I think I'd rather watch. Either it's focused on community interaction, sort of having fun, or it's this like laser focused kind of specific endgame stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we answered all of his other questions throughout what we were talking about, but his recommendation is Fightin' Cowboy, no G on the end of Fightin', would be mine because of how in-depth he goes into Souls type games. That is a good one that I like watching every once in a while. Like
lore. I love lore stuff. Like if you're gonna do that, like not watching the game per se, but go check out the History of the Vaults for the Fallout series. Like there's somebody who's done, I can't remember who it is, but they did an entire YouTube series about what every single numbered vault is and what every single experiment within those vaults is.
That's really good.
Or if you just want to watch like a stupid 2-minute video, type in biggest video game worlds, and there's like a bunch of videos that show you scales of, from like the beginning of video games to current, what's the biggest, how big is it? The last one I'd watched was somebody... they'd actually gone through and had a picture of the world map, and then it would rotate out to the next picture, and you could see how big that was, and it kept going and going and going until you get to Elite Dangerous, which is basically a map of the Milky Way.
That's cool. All right, that's all of our questions, and that's our episode for this week. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. You can visit us at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. You get great audio every week, a lot of it now, and I get to get a little bit of help paying for the show. So thank you very much, patrons. If you're not yet a patron, go join over there. We're not one of those places that takes down content, so you can join up and get hundreds of episodes. If you want to listen to something while you're playing Space Engineers, you just start at the beginning of the Patreon feed and you're listening for a while.
Yep.
We already talked about Game Club at the top of the episode, so I think we are done. We'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Somber Fogporn this week.
That's right.
Okay.
Before the Patreon moon thing.
Oh, so yeah, you got something first. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so we talked about how, what was it? 100 patrons and you will play Resident Evil, I think it was.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. Ideally, let's say 100 patrons at the $5 tier, because we can't put up separate goals for number of patrons versus the total amount. So, I'll meet you in the middle here. 100 patrons, $5. Ideally, for every single one of them. It isn't going to happen, but that's fine. That's $500. We divide that by 2. $250 per month should be the next target goal to get Boston to play Resident Evil.
Okay. I think we're about halfway there. So, raise your patronage, tell your friends, $2 or $5. It all makes a difference.
And Boston has to update the Patreon page to the new goal of $250 to have him stream Resident Evil.
Can't remember. Was I shipping you my VR headset, or were you getting your own?
Neither. RE7 Patreon. Okay.
I figured that was a good middle ground.
I like it. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'll put it on the Patreon page probably tonight if I don't forget. And then if I do forget,
don't
probably never, and you'll remind me next week
until it gets on that Patreon page.
I would do it now, but RTX voice doesn't like when you make your computer do anything, and I don't want to sound like a robot.
I noticed, weirdly enough.
Yeah, weird. All right, Nip, hit me with your titles.
Okay, I have them's my plans. Jetpack goes brrrr. Work show kayfabe. What is this game?
Kayfabe. Work show kayfabe.
Hey, we're all learning. We're all learning here.
I don't really care.
All systems TVGP.
Yeah, what is this game? Female Sephiroth. When in doubt, grind. And I don't feel feelings.
I wish.
I don't feel feelings. All right, Moon.
I'm an enabler. Then I saw her face. Now I'm an enabler. There will be tests. The green stuff. Vehicles of magnificence. Jetpack goes brrrr. Built the world. Female Sephiroth. What is this game? Village of France. I played fairly competently. Giant hipster, and I know it's going to get vetoed. Polishing pyramid head.
Veto, yeah.
It's got a great literance to it as well. It's so good.
Got a good flow.
Impacting his butt.
Wait a minute. That's not better. All right, I have There Will Be Testing, The Daily Grime of 2020, Them's My Plans, Jetpacks Goes Brrrr, I Don't Feel Feelings, and What Is This Game?
Honestly, Jetpack Goes Brrrr takes it for me.
Yeah, I really liked that one.
Okay. I circled it. I'm ready when you guys are.
I'm ready.
It is 3 axes, isn't it? It's not 6. It's 3 axes, 6 directional movement.
Yes.
Okay. I'm ready.
Good?
Ish.
Yeah.
Okay. A little light physics just to get us warmed up.
Yeah.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 663 for July 6th, 2020. Haha, Jetpack Goes Brrrr.
Now there's 6 directions to watch for.
Zip, zoom, straight to the moon.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us live or watching the archive. We love you. Bye.
See you, folks.
Bye.
And we can stop recording.